To celebrate the launch of the History of Isle of Man Motorsport 50Ps, we've come here to the National Motor Museum at Beaulieu to soak up the atmosphere and possibly a little engine grease and take a closer look at the designs. The first coin shows the start of our journey some 120 years ago. Trials were held to decide who would represent Britain in the Gordon Bennett Cup and was won by Walter Thomas Clifford Earp, who covered the 255-mile course in 7 hours and 26 minutes.
This car is a Napier. It's a 1903 Napier E61. It was driven by Clifford Earp with his brother Arthur as riding mechanic. Did really well. The trials were split between a regularity run on a 50-mile course around the island, and then a hill climb, and then a speed trial on Douglas Promenade. Earp did really well in the regularity run, really well in the hill climb, and really well in the speed trial, except on his way back to the start line, went a little bit too fast, lost control of it going over the start line at the start, and crashed into a wall, and the car was totaled again. Controversially, Earp didn't make it into the team for the Gordon Bennett races. But there we go. So this is one of the earliest surviving British racing cars, and at the very start of motorsport in the Isle of Man.
Our next coin celebrates the first ever TT race. The legendary motorcycle race is of course now synonymous with thrilling competition and daredevil feats, and has featured on many Isle of Man circulating coins over the years.
The first Isle of Man TT motorcycle races were held in 1907. The first race was won by Rem Fowler on a Norton. Not this Norton, this is a slightly later Norton dating from 1912, was actually used for record breaking at Brooklands, but it gives you an idea of what a 1907 TT winning motorcycle looked like.
In 1923, the first TT sidecar race was introduced, adding an extra dimension of skill to the sport. The next 50p depicts course winner Freddie Dixon and passenger Walter Denny on their famous flat tank Douglas.
The first sidecar TT was 1923. Graham Walker, the famous TT rider, who has a strong connection with this museum, was actually, I think, rode to second place in that race as the rider. And they also had a sidecar TT in 1924. There were no sidecar races after that. There was some discussion whether racing sidecars was actually relevant to road-going sidecars, which were essentially aimed at the family market for people that couldn't afford an Austin 7 or something like that. Sidecars was very much an economic way for a family to become mobile, and there was some discussion whether racing them actually appealed to that market or not. But anyway, they disappeared from the Isle of Man until the early 1950s, and of course are still very much part of the racing scene today.
The fourth 50p celebrates the inaugural Manx Grand Prix, which also took place in 1923. Considered to be the amateur rider's alternative to the TT, the first Grand Prix was won by Len Randalls, who rode his 500cc Sunbeam to victory.
Brings the TT story up to the 1920s. This is a 1928 Rudge Whitworth. It was a bike ridden by Graham Walker, a famous TT rider who rode in the TT between 1920 and 1936, took part in road races and Grand Prix racing all over Europe, rode successively for Norton, Sunbeam and then Rudge Whitworth. Retired from motorcycle racing and went on to edit Motorcycling magazine, and also did BBC radio commentaries for the Isle of Man TT and other motor racing events. And that's how his son, Murray Walker, got into TV and radio and TV broadcasting.
Our last 50p celebrates the year 1963, when the first car rally, the Manx Rally, took place. Won by Reg McBride and Don Barrow in a Ford Anglia Aladette. The history of the Isle of Man Motorsport 50p set is available now exclusively from the Westminster collection in a variety of specifications, including some very limited editions. Check the link in the description below to find out more.